Somewhere near the center of Palermo in Sicily, there is an old amusement park. Should you wander around, just aside a shooting gallery, there is an old, funny-looking statue of a grotesque face. Don't try to get too close to it yet. As soon as you are about to touch it, no matter how hard you try, you will change your mind. Go to the shooting gallery and pay the clerk for 3 games. It will cost you the equivalent of $10 in total. It does not matter how much you score. As soon as you finish the second game, keep the gun and do not shoot again. The clerk will ask you for his gun back, but you must ask to try the mouth of truth instead. After he agrees, you will be able to approach the statue. Put your hand in its mouth up to your wrist. A small crowd will gather around you. After some seconds, the eyes will light and your hand will be blocked, as the statue will ask you one question about a secret or embarrassing fact of your life, even perhaps something that you are ashamed of. You must answer the question truthfully and aloud, regardless of the people watching you. If you answer correctly, some will be shocked, others amused, and your hand will be released. Within the following 2 or 3 weeks, you will feel somewhat different. You will see that same light of the statue in your own eyes. And you will notice people will feel a bit uneasy when talking to you. That will be for a simple reason. No one will be able to lie to you. The effect of this blessing will last about a year. After it has worn off, you will be able to redo it once again. Word of caution: do not answer the statue with a lie. An inner mechanism will clamp your fingers and you will pass out from the shock. When you wake up, you will be just outside of the park and you will not be able to enter it ever again. When you go back home the morning afterwards, you will feel something strange in the hand you put in the statue's mouth. Finding out your pinky finger is missing. There will be no cuts, no wound, just smooth flesh where your finger used to be. Throughout the following days, each morning, you will wake up with one of your fingers gone. On the 11th to 20th morning, your toes will start missing. Should you try to ask for help, people will just laugh at you and tell you you've always been a liar. By a month, you'll have no appendages, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no lips, and no genitals. All you will be able to do is feel around with your stumpy limbs. Then your limbs will disappear too. Eventually, you will be left wherever you fell asleep as a human stump until starvation and decay get the better of you. Something else to keep in mind, however, even if you answer truly, but keep your voice low or sound mocking somehow, from that moment on, for the rest of your life, you'll just be a big liar. And anytime you try to tell the truth, your voice will be cut, and only a slight hissing sound will come out. Now, doesn't that sound fun? I'd ask for anyone to tell me if they actually went and did this, but I think it would be extremely obvious if you do. Go to any high-traffic bathroom. It must be a high-traffic bathroom. Otherwise, the room won't have enough latent residual energy to carry out the task. A hotel bathroom is perfect. Make sure it's after 12 a.m. And make sure you have 2 clove cigarettes. The stronger the cigarette, the higher your success rate will be. Sit in the dark and begin smoking one of the cigarettes. Make sure there is a mirror present and that you look at your reflection at all times. The burning cherry should provide just enough light for this. When you've smoked the cigarette within a quarter of the filter, the room should be full of smoke. Your eyes will no doubt be watering, but don't blink. Don't take your eyes off the mirror or your reflection, whatever you do. To blink will make all you've done at this point for nothing. You'll begin to notice that your reflection will begin to fade into black. The reflection of the cherry from your cigarette will begin to separate into 2 red eyes. The smoke in the room will begin to condense, and before you realize it's happened, a shade will be sitting on the ledge of the sink. He'll ask you for a cigarette, which is why you've been instructed to bring 2. Give the shade a cigarette, which will light itself once he brings it to his withered lips. At this point, you can ask the shade any question you want, and he'll answer true. You can ask who shot JFK, who was Jack the Ripper, anything you could possibly think of. Be sure to keep an eye on how much of the cigarette he smoked. When it gets to the point where it will only take a few more hits to kill it, the smoke from the other cigarette will begin to define more of his features, making him more material than ethereal. At this point, stand up and snatch out his eyes with one sweeping motion. He should still be mostly smoke, so your hands should pass easily through his head. If you let him finish the cigarette, he will attack you, surely taking your life in the process. The shade will begin screaming and cursing you, and the hand holding his eyes will be burning intensely. Do not open your hand. Even though the eyes are disembodied, they can see if they were out in the open. Run to the light and flip it on. This will banish the shade's physical form and send him back into the ether. Leave the room and wait until 3 a.m. to open your hand. The burning will be unbearable until then, but to open your hand before 3 a.m. will blow out all the lights in your hotel room, allowing the shade to return and seek vengeance. You will have 4 burn marks on your palm when you open it, all cauterized and mostly healed. From then on, you can never be in a dark room with a mirror, because the shade will be able to track you through the burns in your hand. After this, you will always be cold, no matter how warm it is, and you'll be given the ability to perform minor miracles. Your dreams will always be nightmares, but in them, you will be granted a kind of third sight. You'll never be able to see anything good, only the most horrific future events, and these events will only be known to you at a point where you can't do anything to stop them. Well, I mean, it's a small price to pay for the absolute knowledge you've been given. To start off, I would like to say that this card game really exists, and it can be bought. You can decide for yourself if you want to believe that it is a theory and that we are all going to die, but you cannot deny that this card game cannot be coincidence. Now, before telling the entire story, you need to know what the Illuminati is. If you already know it, congratulations. But if you do not know, it is useful to listen. A short explanation of the Illuminati, also known as the New World Order, is that it is a conspiracy theory, beginning with the Mayans. You probably know about their prediction that the world would end in 2012. However, it did not. But a fifth major cycle ended in 2012, which meant a big change. Believers of the conspiracy theory say that the Illuminati started to rebuild the world in 2012. Their main goal was to reduce the world population and create a better world by doing so. Now that you know what the Illuminati is, I will explain yet another coincidence. Starting in 1995, Steven Jackson decided to make a new type of card game called Illuminati. When the game was completed, something weird happened. The American government tried to stop the game from being marketed. The reason never came out. But a few years later, things became very clear. Six years after the release of the card game, planes crashed into the World Trade Center as a result of a terrorist attack. Many people died. The card game exactly predicted this. Have a look at the cards yourself. Even the positioning is correct. Another terrorist attack that everyone remembers is the disaster at the Pentagon. The card game predicted that too. The BP oil spill? Yes. The game knew that would happen too. Have a look at their oil spill card. You can see the contaminated water, a sinking ship, and a bird that's dying because of the oil. Now, as well as the cards mentioned previously, these things happened and also reduced the world population. Perhaps the reason why the government didn't want it published. What about the rest of the game? What else does it predict to happen in the future? The end of the world? The game definitely raises questions. Of course, that's good for sales, but terrifying for anyone paying attention. The most terrifying and most remarkable cards are the ones that predict World War III, a rewriting history card, Illuminati University card, and the end of the world card. The World War III card says that there would be another world war. But in this one, nuclear weapons will be used. It sounds logical that if there would be another world war, those weapons would be used. There are more nuclear weapons now than we can even imagine. You can also find a card that says your goal is population reduction. And that, of course, is the Illuminati's goal. Under the picture, in the explanation of the card, it says, too many people making too many problems. and not enough love. The Illuminati sees the reduction as the solution for those problems. I sincerely hope you're all enjoying my week of fun and games. You know I am. I've got an extra special one for Friday to wrap up this fun and games week.